Hello there, good evening, and welcome to another interesting edition of News Unpacked here on VOP TV. That is Voice of the People Television. As Nigeria's political landscape heats up ahead of the 2027 general elections, we reflect deeper on the developments that shaped conversations within the week, the sharp exchanges and growing concerns across the political space. Well, from calls for opposition parties to unite behind a single presidential candidate to questions over the president's performance and the rising tension among key political actors. The race is already taking shape. Meanwhile, allegations involving a suspicious campaign payment, a retired ESS officer facing terrorism-related charges, and the ICPC's probe into a disputed government agency, and further intrigue to an increasingly charged political environment. Now, these are the conversations that shape the polity within the week. We are going to interrogate all of that with our crop of seasoned analysts. This is News Unpacked on Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. I am your host, Chukuma Okoro. Many thanks for joining us. Now, let's bring in our guests. We've been joined in the studio here in Lagos, where I'm broadcasting from by Segun Sopitan. Segun is the chairman, Accountability, Candour, and Transparency International. But he appears here in the capacity of a political affairs analyst. Beside him, we have Ekene Obi. Ekene Obi is a political affairs analyst. Good evening, gentlemen, and thanks for your presence on the show. We appreciate your presence and time, as always.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to be here.
Very much. Now, let's run into it. We'll be joined in the course of the conversation by Elvis Elimihele. Elvis is a political affairs analyst. He's also a journalist. Well, just to let you know that this conversation, it's interactive, and so you can call in or send in WhatsApp messages to the number that I'll call out now, and the number will scroll on the screen. 081-387-14129. I'll take that again for clarity and emphasis. 081-387-14129. It's interactive, conversational. You can call in, to air your views. Let us hear you. This is the voice of the people. How do you want us to run this country? Do you have any ideas, about the issues that are in discussion, contributions that you want to make and all of that? But please, I will advise you to obey community rules and regulations and guidelines and be civil in your interactions and your engagement with us. Now, let's quickly run into it. Dele Momodu, you know him, a chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, former presidential candidate, presidential aspirant in the PDP, has urged President Bola Tinubu to present his administration's achievements and scorecard to Nigerians ahead of the 2027 presidential election, arguing that voters will judge him based on performance rather than personal dislike. He criticized the APC for blaming previous administrations for Nigeria's problems and questioned what Tinubu has done to improve the situation since taking office. Momodu also weighed in on the dispute between former President Olusegun Obasanjo and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, suggesting that Obasanjo does not want Atiku's presidential ambition to succeed. Well, let's hear Segun. There's a video to that. He granted an interview to a journalist, and let's hear him out because he said quite a lot.
Don't be surprised if Nigerians see INEC as a witch that will continue to kill and suck the blood of its victims. Despite all the resources poured into INEC, it usually fails so glaringly and spectacularly. I'll give you an example. Next week, we are expecting an election in Osun State. Just one state out of 36 states in Nigeria. And what are we seeing? It's like a war. If they are bringing in soldiers, bringing in police, bringing in battalion, some people have already gotten their faults. And they are shooting sporadically on the streets. So this cannot be what election should be. I mean, we saw in 1993 how the June 12th election ran very smoothly. But today, we don't have anything close to that. Nigeria should be improving, not deteriorating, not degenerating. And the umpire cannot be different from those who appointed them. If those who appointed you don't believe in free and fair election, they will do everything possible to manipulate, to maneuver, to meander, and make sure that they have their way by hook and crook. So that's where we are. It's going to take a miracle for Nigerians to believe. So I don't envy Professor Amupito. I watch him every now and then when he is speaking. And I hope he has the confidence, the courage, and the composure to look straight in the eyes of those who appointed him and say, no, I can't help you beyond what the law of Nigeria says. That's all. But if you just want to...
That is Dele Momodu, a former presidential aspirant in the SDP, high-ranking member of the ADC, seasoned journalist, a veteran for that matter. Well, he said a lot in that interview. Well, the president, look at what is going on in Osun. Stop blaming previous administrations for your inefficiency. Nigerians didn't elect you to come and get into a blame game. They elected you to come and solve problems. So now, as we go into the next general elections, what should candidates and political parties be selling to the electorate? Is it promises? Is it performance? Is it propaganda or blame? Segun, let me start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Chukuma. So the candidates that will come into these elections are in two categories. There are the incumbents, and then there are the ones that have either held public office before but are not in office currently, or the ones that have never held public office before and are aspiring. And I think that what we need to hear from them will then depend on what category they fall in. So if you're an incumbent, I think it's just simple logic to say, in agreement with Dele Momodu, that you are currently there. The only basis for which we can determine whether you are fit to get another term is what you've done with the term you've just been given, especially relative to what you promised you will do. Right? For the others that are not in office, then you have to look at what their track record is, what have they done in public life or in private life, and then try and marry that with whatever they're promising us. How realistic are those promises? Interrogating it properly, and all of that. So that has to be the rhetoric and the basis for any kind of engagement between these candidates. Unfortunately, just like Dele Momodu said, it's rarely ever anything about that. The only time that we hear any kind of statements that has to do with policy, that has to do with governance issues, especially at the presidential level, is when they sit down with either the private sector or they go to Chatham House, far away, to go and say things. We hope that will change this time, but I'm not going to be holding my breath just on the evidence of history and how things have gone in the past. I mean, look, if we want to talk, for example, about the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you want people to vote for you in January. This is August. It's 4 months away, right? For goodness sake, your term is just about 7 months, from running out. What have you done with this term, especially given the things you promised? So I look at the Renewed Hope agenda. I have a list of things here that the president promised. He promised economic diversification, economic reforms. He promised national security. He promised agriculture and driving self-sufficiency in food. He promised energy and resource sufficiency. He promised infrastructure. So if we look at all of these things, down to education, health, governance issues, rule of law, if you want me to run a scorecard, it's going to be very brutal, right? So I think that our politicians will do better if they come to us with how they have performed relative to what they promised. And knowing, if they know that if that performance is nowhere near good enough and that they will therefore be punished by the electorate, then maybe that will spur them to do better. Unfortunately, just like Dele Momodu said, with what we have experienced in the past and what we're seeing from INEC, it looks as if whatever performance you have achieved relative to your promises may not necessarily be a factor in how you return to office. And therefore, there is no incentive for them to even come forward with a scorecard. Why should I give you a scorecard when I know I'm going to win anyway? So really, we're in a quandary and we're in a dilemma, and we'll just have to wait to see how it plays out.
Okay, quandary and a dilemma. That's very scary. I'll come to you in a bit, but Segun, let me ask you now. You reeled out a lot of promises that the president made in the course of campaigning in 2023, in the lead up to the 2023 general elections. Yeah. And how much of that, in terms of engagement with the Nigerian people, in terms of policy directions, policy initiatives, policy discussions, conversations on the polity? Because most times when Nigerians say, well, you promised us energy and you have not yet delivered, the president or his spokesperson said, hey, I mean, if it is you, Segun, that raised the issue, instead of addressing the issue, what you hear is that your father divorced your mother when you were 2 years old. And another person says, hey, Mr. President, you told us that you were going to, reverse the inflation. And instead of saying, well, we have rebased the economy, inflation is looking down or looking up, they say, when you were governor, you ate money on behalf of the people. So in terms of engaging the public regarding conversations, discussions, in terms of benchmarks, milestones, thresholds, this is what you have achieved, based on the promises we made. How much of that have you seen in the past 4 years of this administration?
Look, it's been a horror show, in my opinion, my humble opinion. And I really think if you cast your mind back to previous administrations, including the administration of the very, very much vilified Muhammadu Buhari, who we all thought was the worst president that we have seen in the history of this country, this is by far the worst when it comes to public engagement with regards to performance of government. It's the worst. How many media chats have we had from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Forget about, like you said, in the last 4 years, forget about elections. It's not something that should be tied to election cycles. We deserve to hear from our leaders how they have been performing, what we are to expect, what has happened in the first year, what has happened in the second year, how far off the mark are we, and what are we doing to course correct so that we can achieve the promises that we, gave to our people. Very precious little of that. Instead, what we get is a tongue lashing, constant and consistent tongue lashing, and the twisting of the truth on his head by his spokespeople. Daniel Bwala, in particular, has been quite notorious. Somebody asked him about the promise. I think it was one of the other TV stations. Asked him about the promise regarding electricity that the president gave when he said, it's on record, the video has been played repeatedly, that if I do not give you constant electricity before the next election, do not vote for me. And then they asked Daniel Bwala, I think it was about 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, and he says, well, it's not 4 years yet. So that is a comment that shows that these guys don't take us seriously. They don't respect Nigerians. They don't respect the electorate. They don't believe that there's any consequence, for their failure to engage with sense. Do I want to talk about Bayo Onanuga or Sunday Dare? Look, it's been a horror show. Horror show. I really want to hope that we will see some sort of a change at some point in the future.
Exactly,
but not from this.
Now, that will form the basis of my next question, which is going to Ekene. Ekene, based on what we have seen in the past 4 years, now in the lead up to the next general election, do you see any kind of anything that shows you that the campaigns will be issue-based, like we are discussing education of the Nigerian child. We are discussing health care for the average Nigerian. We are discussing infrastructure. We are discussing provision of power, energy, and all of that. Or are we going to be discussing, hey, I'm from the Northwest, and you are from the Southwest. He's from the Southeast. He's from the North Central. Is it going to be, which one of it do you see based on your understanding of the progressions we have made, in the past 3 years, in the lead up to, since the primaries started, what sort of conversations are trailing that gives you the impression that either the campaigns will be issue-based or they will descend again to tribal sentiments, ethnicity, it's my turn, it's not your turn, and all of that?
Okay, so thank you very much. When it comes to the issue of Nigeria, I find it difficult. I find it very difficult to discuss about Nigeria because the reason we discuss issues basically is to be able to deliberate on difficult matters, proffer solutions, and then if solutions are proffered, the authorities will hear and do the right thing. I mean, it gets one tired when you keep talking on a particular issue, right? And then seem not to making any form of progress. So Nigerian system of governance has brought us to that level of experience where we keep talking the same thing every election cycle and every other day. And no solutions seem to be, in view. And nobody seems to be doing anything about it. Let me go back to.
Before you go back, you say nobody seems to be doing anything about it. We are discussing it now.
We're discussing it, but you are not the authority.
Okay.
Okay? Those who it's in their hands to do stuff.
Okay, to recreate the narrative.
To do things that people can see,
okay.
Right? I don't have the state money. You don't have the state money.
Okay.
You are not being elected. When we elect people, this is democracy.
Okay.
And democracy is supposed to be like a representative government.
Okay. I hope I didn't derail your thoughts.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Where you seem to tell, because you could have been governor, I could have been governor or president, but we send a particular person to say, go and represent us. Whatever the person does there by way of policy, right? If the policy is good, lives will be good. If the policy is bad, lives will be bad. So because people of Nigeria, the electorate, do not, I'm trying to talk about why the problem persists.
Okay.
Because, it won't be fair for us to continue to discuss what politicians have always done, taking us for granted.
Okay.
Because election is here. The same thing they told people, they told us the last 4 years is what they're going to repeat. And because there are no consequences. Why? Because the people of Nigeria do not know their place in a democratic setting. Democracy offers the people the opportunity to hold power. Okay? The politicians, they know this. And that's no matter how much you think a politician is powerful when he gets there, close to the next 4-year cycle of election, he comes back to the people to derive his power. Okay? And that's why you see politicians, some will go to the grassroots. You see them, some are frying akara, some are roasting corn with the people, trying to let people know that, look, I'm with you. But no, the last 3.5 years, he has not been with the people. He has always done things wrong. So the people do not understand their place, first and foremost. I wish things can begin to change. And maybe because of the way Nigeria is constituted, right? We're still driving this country from ethnic side of things, from tribal, religious side of things. So there is the countryhood is missing. There is no consciousness of the Nigerianness in people. And that's the moral. Politicians, they know that. And every time there is election, you see them stoking the fire of all the things you mentioned, okay. Ethnicity, religion, and all of that, to be able to divide the people. So when you don't have a whole, there is no way you can hold anybody to account. And that's the reason why when you either vote them in or they rig themselves into power, when they get to Abuja or wherever,
they start doing their own thing.
Okay. They cut off the rope.
Now, we seem to have established a pattern in our political culture over time. After every election cycle, every 4 years, they come back and tell us the same thing. We return them to office. After another 4 years, they'll come back and tell us the same thing.
Whether or not you return them to office, they will still be there.
Will they still be there?
Because even when you don't vote for them, they go to the top.
Whether they have fulfilled the promises they made or not.
Yes.
Now, in that pattern that we have established over time, who should take responsibility for that quandary that I would see? People who get into office, they don't perform. Or they find themselves back to office again. Who should take responsibility? Because I see you talk about politicians, the people. Now, it's like the chicken and the egg. Which one comes first? Who should take responsibility? Is it the politicians who is sitting atop the people?
No.
Or the people who
have people
that have failed to hold the politicians to account?
Good. So if you understand your power, then you know how to hold people to account. The people are the problem. And that's why this thing keeps repeating itself. I wish the people can understand the enormous powers that they have in this democracy. Okay? The politicians who mess up. Listen, I have traveled to well over 15 countries. And when you see the way people behave, in their countries, how they elect people. Because, I mean, why would they commit people to go and pray for a problem that human beings caused? You see, economic problem is caused by human beings. Security is human problem. Everything are caused by human beings and are supposed to be solved by. I remember the quote of Jeff Kennedy.
Okay.
He said, quote, if a problem is caused by human beings, it should have human solution. Why would they create problems and then they will tell people to go and pray? That's the problem. And the people will, look, there are the three people holding this country down. The people. Unfortunately, religious people, politicians, and of course, the traditional rulers. Everybody is holding the people down. And when the people are down, there is nothing they can do.
When the people are down, there's nothing they can do. Unfortunately, I think what we are trying to do is to see how we can recreate the narrative so that the actual power held by the people will go back to the people.
Exactly.
But it's a very extensive discussion, and we cannot finish it in one day. Now, let's move on. Former Vice President and 2027 ADC presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, has raised concerns over an unauthorized payment into one of his private bank accounts from an unknown individual, with the transfer described as an electioneering campaign contribution. Well, through his spokesperson, Atiku said neither he nor his campaign team solicited or authorized the payment, and now question how the sender obtained confidential banking details that were not publicly available. He warned that the incident could expose him and other Nigerians to security risk if private financial information is being accessed by people with privileged access, and called the attention of security agencies and the public to what he described as suspicious activities ahead of the 2027 elections. Now, Segun, does it look like this is orchestrated by anybody to harm Atiku politically, or what?
Well,
Electioneering campaign contribution unsolicited into his account.
We will probably never know the truth. So we can only guess and work based on speculation and conjecture. Having said that, and given our understanding of the Nigerian political scene and how our politicians behave, I wouldn't put it past, mischievous actors to try to compromise the gentleman, especially in a climb where our president has said to us that all is fair in politics. I sometimes I think that either because they don't care or they don't know, but I don't want to believe they don't care. I don't want to believe they don't know. So I have to assume is that they don't care. Our political actors and public officials, especially at the higher levels, don't seem to understand the weight of their words and how much signaling can affect the behavior of society, how much the optics can affect how a society behaves. When a president speaks and he says, in public, says to one of his officials, I'm sending you to their ranks to go and cause confusion. And then he laughs about it. You are sending a message to the public. You are sending a message to your acolytes. You are sending a message to your supporters. When a president says that all is fair in politics, you are also sending a message. So for me, it's not impossible that somebody sends money into that account to set the man up. So it won't be surprising if 2 months from now, some sort of security report comes out, and then they say, oh, this man has been implicated in a terrorism financing situation or something like that. It's not very difficult to get people's account number in this country. It's not difficult at all, Just a friend somewhere in one place, and they check the system, they'll bring the account number out.
Yes, you are in the financial sector.
I used to be in the banking sector. And I was there for a long, long time. So I know that because you can't, whoever compromised Atiku's account details, you can never trace it back to him.
I think the worry here, there are a lot of talking points. Now, before I return to the issue of, Atiku's alarm and the fears that he's expressing, when the president says all is fair in politics, and he also said, I'm not going to give my opponent a rope to hang on my head, on my neck, and take me out. In politics, if you're president, will you do that?
No, I mean, look, it's with all due respect, I always like to respect my elders. So with all due respect to our president, who is an elderly president, it's an irresponsible way to speak, especially when you claim to be a Democrat. I don't mince words. You must understand that you are a leader. He is the #1 citizen of this country, and everything he does. Look, John Maxwell was the one that said, everything, and I always emphasize the word everything, everything rises and falls on leadership. On leadership. The way a society goes is going to be predominantly determined by the body language of the. We all remember the body language situation in 2015 when Muhammad Buhari came into office, and because he came with a reputation of a lion, of an incorruptible anti-corruption crusader. We all remember how for about 6 months, Nigeria was reset. Politicians became a bit careful. You know, everybody stood back and was watching. How is it going to be? Is this man going to be the same Buhari that we saw in 1983 and 84? Until they discovered that it was a pussycat that we had and not a lion. And everything went, chaos, right? So, for me, your president cannot say the kind of things that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have been saying. If you do that, then you will have situations where people who you sent or did not send are going to send money into an opposition candidate's account, and then they will raise alarm. So it's a very good thing that Atiku quickly came out to disclaim the thing, because you just never can tell. You will have a situation where people you sent or didn't send will go and start filing spurious court cases against all the major political opposition figures, So it's very unfortunate that we've had
quite unfortunate,
President Tinubu, signaling us in this direction.
Now, Ekene, let me ask you. I'd like to put you on the spot. If you were president, will you give your opponents a free space to come and upstage you, to come and unseat you? What I talk about free space is like you give them limitless boundaries. Is it political?
Okay, so let me put it this way. I think the reason why this whole battle is raging when it comes to the way we practice democracy and, of course, election is simply because the people that are there at any point in time usually don't perform. Mbakwe in, I think, 1979 cycle,
79 to 83.
right? Good.
83, 84, yes.
When people asked him, why are you not campaigning? The quote I read from him was that, why would he spend money to campaign? That his works should speak for him. So he was confident in what he did and felt there was no need. What is he going to tell people when people have seen what he did? I'm saying that the reason for this whole confusion, being scared of your opponent. You're scared of your opponent because
you have not done well.
You have done nothing.
Okay.
All the promises. By the way, promises are very important. As little as your child is, if you have a child and then you say, pass your exams, maybe come first or second, I'm going to buy you a bicycle, something like that. And the child reads very well and then comes out with good result. The pressure has been pushed to you that made the promise. If the child comes with his either dossier or report card to let you know, look, I have done what you asked me to do. Where's my promise? Then you go, okay. Oh, I'll bring it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. Daddy, welcome. Where's my bicycle? You go, oh, I actually paid for it, but I forgot it in that shop. Don't worry. Don't be upset, all right? Next tomorrow, I'll bring it. Day after tomorrow, you come back from work, and then the guy comes to you. If you tell him or her a story, next time they will tell you, never mind. They've lost faith in you.
Okay, they've lost faith in you.
So how would you, in an election cycle, come to promise? By the way, this promise is not even, you're promising us on our own money. It's our money that you're going to use because we sent you to go and spend our money on our behalf. So those promises are not from your pocket. in case you want to spend. So what is the difficulty in spending our money the way it will benefit us? That's the question. So when you talk about opposition, oppositions are there trying to upstage you because you haven't done anything. And that's the more reason why these guys are bent on destroying every facet of the institutions that we have in order to have their way.
In order to have their way.
Because they now believe in the Machiavelli principle.
That the ends justify.
Exactly. So how you get there doesn't matter.
Beautiful. I'd like for us to return to the issue in discussion, which is sending money to Atiku's account. Now, I looked up the Electoral Act, and an individual, you here, or a corporate entity like your entity, could contribute a maximum of 500 million naira. And so if people are trying to set up Atiku to say, oh, well, I mean, we're not told the exact figure, by the way, but monies were sent. Atiku is concerned. Who is sending this money? We are not soliciting for any money and all of that. And the Electoral Act also stipulates that Atiku could, as a presidential candidate, could spend up to 10 billion naira. And so in terms of contribution, will somebody just want to put Atiku in harm's way by sending more than 500 million naira into his account? And what's the possibility? Does Atiku constitute that kind of threat to the APC that they will go to that extent?
He does.
Atiku does.
He does. With the man on board now, right? Everything is a threat to him. The president, everything is a threat to him. I'm telling you. He has never let anything fly without watching where it's going. That's how much afraid he is. And, because, this is his own time. So, again, you're talking about somebody who just is about to finish his first term. For me, there is nothing to show for it.
Nothing to show for it. Now, Segun, on a scale of, do you think that in a free and fair election, if you put Atiku Abubakar and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, what do you think will happen? Free and fair?
No, if the election is free and fair, Atiku will win.
Absolutely.
Hands down.
Absolutely.
And the reason I say that...
Former vice president.
Absolutely.
Nigerians are questioning his records.
Absolutely. And the reason I say that, you see, my brother said something. Look, any one of the candidates right now in a fair and fair election will probably beat the incumbents. And the reason is that Nigerians, I think, have seen... Look, I'm a Yoruba man. I'm from the Southwest. I know what I hear from amongst the ordinary citizens of this country, the people at the bottom of the pyramid, your vulcanizer, I have conversations with them, your battery charger and all those things. There is a great deal of disillusionment and disappointment at that level. And these are the people that fought. They fought with their blood. I remember what happened in 2023 elections, how people were tormenting people that they believe were not from Lagos or from the Southwest to ensure that they didn't vote for this incumbent president. You see, those same people that did that tormenting, they are disappointed because their lot is far worse today than where they were then. So any one of the major candidates, whether it's Atiku, whether it's Obi, whether it's, who is the third one? Look, in a free and fair, they will beat this president hands down. Let's not forget that even the 2023 elections we're talking about, there are people who today will swear by their mother's grave that the APC lost. So what are we talking about? So if we have a free and fair election today, there is nothing on ground that will suggest that this party can win. I ran through a list of promises. If I do a scoring, the only item on that long laundry list that I will score this administration 5/10 is economic reforms. And I'm not talking of the economy, because there's a difference. The economy is in shambles. But there are certain policy actions that have been taken that have yielded some theoretical results that can lead to very, very strong performances later.
If sustained.
If well implemented, if the political leadership and the will is sincere, right? But once you move away from that economy, so on public platforms, I've always spoken in glowing terms about the CBN governor, because he has used all the tools available to monetary policy authorities to do all that he can do. And we can see the result in terms of the stability. But once you move away from there, average scoring, a mark that I will give this administration of maybe 3 on anyone. Is it security? we'll probably give them 1/10.
Sure, let's not even go there.
So let's not go there. I mean, it's so when you ask
I
if
think the elections
if you can win in a free and fair, I'm sorry, it's a no-brainer.
free and fair. I think what Nigerians are
no-brainer.
looking for is just a free and fair, credible election in 2027. And they will decide whom they want to lead them in 2027. Anyway, it's around the corner. Let's see how it goes. Let's move on. Now, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, said that the Tinubu administration is committed to working with religious bodies, traditional institutions, civil society, and citizens to tackle Nigeria's economic, security, and social challenges. He defended the government's reforms and investments in infrastructure, agriculture, healthcare, electricity, and social programs, arguing that they are beginning to improve the economy despite ongoing hardship. Akume also acknowledged a persistent insecurity, but highlighted new military divisions and security reforms. He reaffirmed that the government's commitment to democracy, political competition, and INEC's independence, while describing the recent meeting between President Tinubu and Catholic bishops as constructive despite differences over issues such as security, hardship, elections, and governance. Segun, this is coming out after, the backlash, the meeting between the president and the Catholic Bishop Conference of Nigeria, the way his handlers managed it and all of that. And after a few days, we had the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, say, well, that the country is, that the federal government is willing to create greater partnership with Catholic bishops and all of that. And some people are saying, hey, looks like they discovered that they didn't handle that situation very well. And so this is more like a rapprochement. They are trying to see how they can make amends, Again, how do you react to this development? Looks like, well, we didn't handle it very well, so we have to walk back and see what we can do. From the comments attributed to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, what do you see?
Okay, so I will put it this way, that Secretary to the federal government, George Akume, I think George Akume, maybe because he's a Catholic, but let me put it this way, that George Akume could have been a better spokesperson for the president because of the level of maturity that he brought into the fray to calm the tension down. It's unfortunate that people who were the spokesperson of the president, from Bayo Nanuga to Buala to the other guy, what's that his name? Dari, good. All of them went on a route that poured fuel into the fire. I mean, that's their responses and their replies, and I mean, it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary. The bishops, what did they go there to do? In fact, if you look at the history of Europe, we know the role of religion in terms of Catholics, their doctrines and their morality and the way their outlook in terms of how people should behave, how people should be responsible. That was what Europe keyed in to develop Europe. So why is it a problem that these guys came, went to the president? Again, we talked about the fact that if you're doing well, nobody will come to you. People will only stay in their houses or wherever they are to applaud you if you do the right thing. For them to have gone there, it shows that a whole lot were wrong and are still wrong.
Now, from
to say, please, this is the state of things in the country. Do right by your promises. That's all. What is bad in it?
Segun, do you think that the president is regretting the outcome of that engagement? Because it looks like what George Akume is trying to do is damage control.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, the people around the president, a lot of times, there are two ways to look at these issues when the president speaks and there's controversy. There is what he intended to say and what he intended to do, and there's what the people around him do with that. And there's how they guide him through all of that. So for me, I think this is just damage control. But if you think about the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the one that we know who ruled in Lagos, and the one that made the kind of utterances that were made, in the Buhari years. I don't think he regrets anything. I don't think he's remorseful. I think at the very, very least, maybe the people around him have, kind of cautioned him a bit with regards to the backlash, like you said before, and somebody's just say, okay, say one or two things and all that. But if you give President Bola Ahmed Tinubu the mic again tomorrow, he will say the same thing. He will
Exactly.
say the same thing.
when you said like in the United States, what they call it is what the president meant to say.
Exactly.
When there's a foxfire, when the president misfired,
no. He was quoted out of context.
This is what the president meant.
This is what he actually meant.
And so I think that is the kind of thing that
maybe that's what we're seeing here. It's a bit of a damage control, but like we'll always keep saying, the president needs to do better. When the Catholic bishops went there, like he said, they went there on a truth-telling mission.
Absolutely.
They went there to tell him the truth because it's clear that the man does not know the truth from the way he speaks. They went to tell him things are not okay. Whoever is telling you, how can Bayo Ononuga? By the way, this is the man that was the publisher of the News magazine, a fairy publication that fought the military to a standstill along with the likes of Newswatch. How did he become this person who is now saying in public that what suffering are Nigerians talking about? That he speaks to his own staff and they're not suffering now. That they have not seen this suffering.
Of course, you don't expect his staff
to
suffer.
Clearly. So if Ononuga, who is the spokesperson for the president, can speak that way, it's no surprise that we hear the kind of things that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Let me say this very quickly. I was watching President Tinubu speak yesterday about the CBN governor. I can't remember what the forum was. It was probably aired. And as the president was speaking, my brothers, as he was speaking, I was hearing every single sentence that he made. There were voices in the background that were saying, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's correct, sir. That's correct, sir. That's correct, sir. Praise singing on live and live. I couldn't believe my ears. When you have a person who is speaking and the people around him are reverent and they defer to him and they cannot tell him the truth, that's what we have on our hands. It's very unfortunate.
Well, so somebody asked after that incident, was the president expecting that the Catholic bishops would come and sing or your mandate would stand for him? Anyway, let's leave it at that. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll talk about the docking of a former DSS officer on alleged links with IPOB. Please do stay with us. We'll be right back.
Big news this year. Your favorite Voice of the People television station is now on free to air on Nigecomsat. All you need to do is align your dish using the following: orbit position 40.5 degrees east, 12.685 gigahertz, 30,000 kilobytes per second, polarized vertical. Frequency 2, 12.731 gigahertz, symbol rate 26,250 kilobytes per second, polarization H. This works on any decoder. Catch up to 100 channels, sports, movies, news, all for free. This is with better quality at no extra cost. VOP TV on Free TV. Now you have more than a voice.
The rains are here. They bring relief, green fields, and fresh water. But they can also bring danger if we are not careful. Rule 1. Avoid flood waters. Never walk, wade, or drive through moving flood water. Fast-moving water can sweep you off your feet, and that water may hide open drains, sharp objects, or live electric cables. Rule 2. Stay away from weak structures and slopes. Heavy rain can weaken buildings, walls, and hillsides. Avoid sitting on the old buildings, billboards, or trees. If your area is prone to landslides, report cracks or soil movement to emergency agencies immediately.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. And if you are just joining us, this is News Unpacked on Voice of the People Television, VOPTV. We've been speaking with Segun Sopitan, Chairman, Accountability, Candour, and Transparency International, who appeared here in the capacity of a political affairs analyst. We also have Mr. Ekene Obi, who appeared here in the capacity of a political affairs analyst. We've been joined by Elvis Elimihele. Elvis is a journalist as well as a political affairs analyst. Gentlemen, thanks for staying. Elvis,
good evening.
good to see you.
Yeah,
How have you been,
my
sir?
pleasure. It's good.
Beautiful. Now, let's quickly run into our next major conversation. Now, retired DSS officer Wogu Ihechimere Ezakolam has been arraigned before the Federal High Court in Abuja over alleged membership of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB and terrorism-related offenses. The federal government accused him of supporting IPOB, joining the group despite its proscription and using a social media to encourage public support for the organization and promote its activities. Ezakolam pleaded not guilty to all 4 charges, which were filed under the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act and the Cybercrime Act. His lawyer requested time to file a bail application, while the court ordered that he be remanded at Kuje Correctional Center pending the bail hearing and fixed October 29 for the commencement of trial. Elvis, let's start with you. Fresh. Like fresh baked.
Yes.
Bread, oven baked. Now, reactions. How do you react to this incident? Somebody is being arraigned before High Court in Abuja, based on alleged links with indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, former DSS officer for that matter, and they say he was using his social media to canvass for support, and to promote the organization. How do you react to this development, holistically?
Yeah, Mr. Koro, thank you. I'm surprised that the government is talking about a learned and a security person that have gotten to that level, that is the best person that they feel is promoting the activities of IPOB. Yes, the good thing is that he has been arraigned in court and he will have his days in court. But where I'm not comfortable is, this remaining with the DSS or whatever till October.
Okay.
I hope Nigerians should also cry in that regard, just the same way they are talking about crying for El-Rufai.
No, I think pending, they are going to file a bail application.
A bail application, yes. I know they are going to file that, but we don't know what conditions that will follow that bail application yet. But
like the type that they are giving El-Rufai.
we pray it doesn't get to that level because I know...
Or the one they gave the Mieti Allah.
Yes, like the one they gave to Bodejo. Because Nigerians are actually not comfortable with some of these bail conditions, Mr. Kore. But you know the way this government take IPOB, even from Buhari's government to where we are, those things that others get away with, like Sunday Igboho, we saw him. At the end of the day, he even became like a government person. Everybody rallied around to make sure that he leaves the Republic of Benin and was able to get free. Now, if you can do it to one, you're supposed to do it to others. So we are going to watch the trajectory that is going to follow Mr. Ezakolam's conditions, both in appearance for bail and the bail condition that is going to follow. Because we have to begin to to tell the government that what an injury, what is good for A should also be good for B as well. Because we saw now that Igboho has even become like one of their celebrities now, going around and even form his own security outfit now, talking about the Irueku. Yeah. So and look at the support he's getting. So if he is appearing in court, let the court, have their ways with him, and let's see how the condition is going to follow from there on.
Okay, now, let me come to you. The issue is raising a lot of dust, we in the political space, in social media. And Nigerians are asking, this man, what did he do? He was not caught carrying arms. He wasn't disseminating, inciting information and all of that. He was simply promoting the indigenous people of Biafra, an organization which the government says is proscribed. But we also understand that another court of competent jurisdiction also said, well, it's not illegal, and so they proscribed it. But I think an appeal court and all of that says it remains proscribed. That's another issue altogether. If you proscribe people that are ordinarily waving flags, and organizations like Boko Haram, Yeti Allah, that we see carry assault rifles, kill Nigerians, chase away people from their communities, from their ancestral land, and you are not able to designate them as terror organizations and all of that. Now, tongues are wagging. More like, why is it that the federal government looks elsewhere, Nigerian state, why is it that they look elsewhere when people like Ahmad Gumi, the fiery cleric, says, well, you need to negotiate with Boko Haram. They are our brothers, they are not terrorists and all of that. You even need to grant them amnesty. If you are holding discussions with people in Niger Delta, you also need to hold discussions with terrorists and all. We have seen him negotiate, on behalf of the government. We have seen him with terrorists, with their assault rifles, and surrounded by soldiers and policemen. Yet, the government looks away. So Nigerians are asking, why is it that there seem to be different laws for different peoples in the same country?
Yeah, so double standard is not lost on this government. I mean, it's been like that.
It's been like that?
It's been like that when it comes to different governments that we have in this country, okay? Anything that has to do with, I don't want to go ethnic because I'm not even, I don't fly that kite,
okay,
right? But
you want to say it as
there are certain things that they do. You will be compelled to say things the way they are. I mean, it's about time the government began to realize that there is need to begin to treat any case that has to do with the Igbo people or anybody from Igbo extraction in this country. Treat it equally. The same view, the same vigor, the same way they treat any other person from any other tribe in this country. It's about time that began to happen. Because I don't see anything special. This whole thing that they are blowing out of proportion, I don't see anything special about it. Now, we talked about IPOB. IPOB is not, there is nothing in that organization that is any worse than we have different sects, different militias in the north or any other part of the country. In fact, when we talk about Boko Haram and other militias, it was even difficult to give them the appropriate names, call them terrorists. Before it got to a level where they called bandit, the activities, terrorism, it was like, oh my God, it took a long time. Whilst that was on, the killings and kidnappings and all of that, destruction of lands and properties in the north, very obvious at that. Governments were also fraternizing with the players, the militias in themselves. They were not like, those guys were not even hiding. IPOB had already been proscribed as a terrorist organization without any form of destruction, without any form of, the activism does not come close if you want to rate it, but it became a thing. So this former DSS guy, I want to know the reason why DSS got so interested. Is it because the DSS Act says that anybody that has served DSS, outfit does not and should never join, even when you must have retired and become a person of your own, right? You can't do anything that you feel like doing. Like you can't live your life. I just want to know if their act says that. Maybe that's why they are prosecuting him.
Okay.
But if it doesn't say that, I don't see why it should be a special case,
yes,
like the way they're making it.
Because we see a lot of people on Facebook, social media, talk about IPOB and all of that, and yet nothing happens to them. So
exactly. Why is it a case? Why is it a special case? If he had done anything against the organization, like where you can call him a fifth columnist, more like revealing the secrets of the state, in DSS playbook, if you know what I mean. Maybe that should be a thing. But if he didn't do anything like that, why should they make this a special case? I don't understand it. But like my brother has said, they're already in court. So let them have it. Let him have his day in court, and let's see what happens.
What happens? All right, Segun, I'd like for you to react to this development.
I mean, look,
holistically.
as you guys were speaking, and before I came on air, I searched. I searched though, because I like being objective.
Okay.
You know, so if a person has been accused of committing certain infractions that are against the law, you know, whatever, you know, arrest him and take him to court and let him have his day. And if he's guilty, you know, give him whatever the law prescribes. If he's innocent, let him go. But I think that institutions of state must be careful to be seen to be performing the duties that the Constitution has ascribed to them to perform across board. So in order to ensure my independence of thought, I searched. I couldn't find anything that this guy is anonymous on social media. I mean, look, as I'm talking now, anybody that is listening should just go type his name on social media. I'm even trying to type it now on Facebook. Maybe I will find something. I couldn't find anything. So what exactly did he say that has the potential of inciting people to join a proscribed, purportedly terrorist organization? What are those things? How can they be so impactful when we can't even see it? Social media is as large as it is small. It just takes one single search. If anybody, look, if you search my name on social media now, you see everything I've been saying in the last 2 years. It's there. I didn't put them there. They're just there, right? I couldn't find anything. So how can the DSS bring forth a case against one of their own people who served with them in the past, where the crimes or the infractions that they committed are not clear and obvious?
Exactly.
Meanwhile, every day, you know, that's why when you were talking about Gumi, I was just nodding, because that's what was just running through my head. Every single opportunity this man has, he bastardizes our senses. It is an abuse, in my opinion. The man abuses Nigerians, our collective sense of, collective sensibilities, with the kind of things that he says about the people he says they are his brothers. People that kidnap and slaughter Nigerians, people who have killed current and former senior officials of government, of our armed forces. He will say that they are our brothers. He will say, no, they are just agitating for their rights. And he has never been arrested. We know that this guy goes into the bushes. He knows where these bandits are. He has never been arrested. What exactly did this, what's his name?
Ezeokolam.
What exactly did he do? What did he say? Because I still can't find it. How can the DSS be so speedy in picking up this man? You say he's inciting people to join IPOB. What evidence do they have?
Exactly.
So hopefully, the man will have his day in court. They should process his bail quickly and let him go home.
Okay.
Because I don't think that he was being accused of murder. You know, there are some crimes that you say they are bailable offenses and there are offenses that are not bailable. I don't think inciting somebody to join a terrorist organization, so to speak, even the terrorism tag of that organization, morally and legally, is still in question. Till today, some people will still argue with you that, they're terrorists. And some will say, no, they are terrorizing people in the southeast, so they're terrorists. It's not settled. So how can you with such speed, dexterity, arrest the man, and then he's already in prison, and he will be cooling off there until the next sitting if the bail application does not get heard, you know, and all of that. So for me, there's something fishy about this case.
There's something fishy about
like you were saying, is it because he was in DSS and there's something he has done that has gone against their code of practice for both serving and former officials? And if that is the case, let us know now. We deserve to know. We are not running a police state. We're not running a gulag. This is a democracy. People have rights. So for me, we look, if it happens to the man today, it can happen to me. So we must speak the truth. Let them tell us what the man has done and let it be clear and obvious to everybody in the court of public opinion, even before the judicial system now adjudicates on the matter. Okay. Court of public opinion is also very, very crucial in nation building and in a society.
All right. Now, Elvis mentioned the Irueku, you know, which is a private militia owned by Sunday Igboho. Within the week, the Oni of Ife, they gifted him 100 million naira and a hillock, just to support him. Before the Irueku, which is a private militia, came up, we have the Amoteku in the southwest, excluding Lagos, But probably Lagos is saying we don't have bushes and all of forests and all of that. And so Lagos is not part of it. And so the other 5 southwest states are collaborating effectively, right from the days of Akeredolu and all of. Somehow it looks like it's working for them. Again, I want to pose this question to you. Why is it difficult for the governors of the Southeast to put together this kind of structure collectively instead they are going individually? When they tried Ebubago, it didn't work. And the ESN came out, government clamped down on it, which is another issue again. And so why is government not clamping down on Amoteku? Why is government not clamping down on Irueku? Since this Irueku of a thing started, the government has not raised the word. Even security agencies, nobody has said anything about it. But the moment is about the Southeast. First of 2 questions now, why is it difficult for the Southeast governors to collaborate? If you go to the Southeast, Anambra has Agune Chamber, Chukuma Soludo. Enugu has forest guards, Pitamba. Nwifuru has something of his own. Abia State has homeland security and all of that. Why is it difficult for them to collaborate? Because I think sometime last month, the 19 state governors of the North came together and said they were going to pull together what they call the Northern Security Fund. Why is it absent in the Southeast? Any explanation?
Yeah. It's very simple. My deduction is very simple. First, governance is supposed to have the foundation of, 1, public trust. If you realize that you're coming into governance to govern people, okay, good. You're looking at the fact that you're no longer whatever. In fact, that is the problem that we have in the country. People who come into our governance space usually don't modify their character. And it's a character issue. So you see somebody who comes to become a governor in a state, rather than believe, okay, not just believe, know that he is holding a public trust for the people. He's accountable to the people. No, he makes it look like, look, I'm doing you guys a favor. It's my company. It's my government. Anything I do goes. So he becomes like his own emperor. Now, if you look at Southeast states, you realize that Abia State have got a governor from another party. Imo State has a governor from another party. Anambra State has a governor from another party. Enugu switched to APC, was PDP before. And all of these guys, from Mba of Enugu State to Nwifuru. Nwifuru is a very, I don't know how to, it's even worse than Umahi when it comes to behavior.
Really?
He's very poor. I can tell you that for free. Nwifuru. Soludo has become another character that you can't really put your finger on him. Hope Uzodinma is a different character altogether. Right?
And so
all of these people seem to be strong in their own dispositions. Everybody wants to tell you that.
For them
exactly, they can't mix. That's number 1. Number 2, the fact that these things are supposed to be simple.
Now, why is
the eastern states have just 5 states?
Now, why is it a pattern in the eastern states, in the southeast? Because all these governors, they had their predecessors. At the time, their predecessors, like if you go to Abia State, now Okezi Bazu was there, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi was there, Dave Umahi was there, Willie Obiano. At the time that even though their tenures overlapped, they still were not able to work together. And so,
it's the
same character
it's a personality problem, the way they see themselves. Nobody wants to come. In fact, when Enugu State, what's his name? Enugu State Governor? Peter Mba. When he joined APC, he now is working to upstage Hope Uzodinma, who seemed to be like the biggest gladiator, all right, in APC from the southeast. So that's what nobody wants to accept to be either equal or to stay a bit lower than the next person.
Is there
That's
a problem?
the problem.
Is there a problem with the political character of the average Igbo man? Because these things seem to be persistent.
It seems
more
to
like
be
it's a
because of the
it's a
character.
pattern now.
Exactly. That's something we'll talk about. The characters so far that have...
No, is it about the characters that emerge?
It's
or
the character.
of the average Igbo?
No.
Igbo
It's the character.
political
I'm
person?
an Igbo person. You are one.
Okay.
We are talking here, trying to balance what we think has been the problem.
Okay.
Because, I mean, if you see a typical Igbo person, all right, even though he's very, how will I put it now? He likes to do his own thing. He also has a way of, if you bring, such plans to say, let's collaborate together. It will work. But the point is, the kind of characters we have now,
Now,
they cannot...
I'm sorry, gentlemen. Now, this is an open conversation. And so I don't want to ethnicize it or to tribalize it, but we are trying to, engage
You
in
asked
an
a
honest-
question.
Yes, I asked
Yeah,
a question.
exactly.
I want us to engage in an honest conversation. Why I ask this question is that why I say this is because some people, even from the Southeast, believe that the political problems of the Southeast, so to say, is caused by the average Southeasterner. Probably because now, if you raise the issue of Nnamdi Kanu, we see people that are very active.
Yes.
We hear that there are Igbo people who are active in saying, don't let this young man come out. He's a threat to all of us. Now, if you talk about Peter Obi, you discover that Peter Obi's harshest critics are also from the Southeast. And so, is it the political disposition of an average Igbo man, or is it that of the political leadership? Because when people are outside, they say, well, when I get into government, I'm going to mobilize. But the moment they get into government, they change. So what is the problem?
The problem is maybe the Republican nature of an Igbo man, for instance. You now see that an Igbo man just does not take he can't sing your praises if he feels he can't trust you, or if he feels you can't perform. Let me use the word perform, all right? Because the way it happens in other tribes, let me put it like that, where one person will come out, whatever he says, right or wrong, people will just follow. People will just fall in and sing his praises. It doesn't happen in Igbo land. And the reason is simple. And that's why if you get an Igbo man who is straightforward, right? For instance, Obi has said all the truth that needed to be said. Anybody can hear. He has broken down the most that's the difficulties in packed in the way people deliver political messages. He's been able to break it down for people to understand the lies that politicians usually tell. Like when he was campaigning to say, look, it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or Christian, if you don't vote the right persons, okay, the right person in power, if bread is 1,500, you that is following the person that can help you, if he gets in there, if others are buying 1,500, you cannot buy for 200. That is, if he reigns on all. Okay. So have sense to vote, leave out ethnicity, leave out religion. Anybody you see that is telling the truth, that has capacity, vote for the person.
Okay.
People still went the other way. That is the kind of person. I've never seen an Igbo man in recent time who can tell the truth as it is. But you see, his harshest critics are coming from the Igbo extraction, Igbo people. Why? Because, for those who are criticizing fairly, for those who are also criticizing because of the fact that, this politics is about ambition. It's about,
it should be me, not you.
Exactly. So they see that Obi has garnered natural love from the people. Okay. And they know that they are doing the wrong things. For instance, Soludo is doing, you can imagine, anywhere Obi goes and Soludo is there, you usually see what happens.
What will happen.
Exactly. So it's natural.
Okay. Now, let me come to you, Elvis, again. Elvis, how do we build a nation that everyone will have a sense of belonging if we have different laws for different people? Like 2 minutes, if you can. Is there a possibility it could happen? Do you have an idea historically, any place where there are different laws for different people and you have a strong nation? Is it possible?
No, different law for different people would never build a strong nation. And that's the problem we have now. To build a strong nation, everybody must be seen as equal. And the law must treat everybody equally, not favoring A at the detriment of B. But that can only be achieved if Nigerians, the same way we woke up and said, no, enough of military. We were able to solve that. If Nigerians can realize today that what divides us now is just the political slogan from the politicians of religion and tribalism. If only we can. But unfortunately, those of us that would have even been able to realize that are the ones that are in social media now supporting the politicians because of what they want to eat. You know why? The politicians have made this so stringent for an average man to be able to eke out a living, ideally. That is the reason why you see this shenanigan of ethnicity and tribalism is festering. When we were, talking about the military to go, we thought military was our problem. And that if the military goes, we're going to have...
Now we have seen that we are our own worst enemy.
We have seen that it's a big lie now. So now, if only the Nigerians that fought that military can now realize where we are coming from, we would have had a better Nigeria forward. One of them is Bayo Nanuga. Today, is he talking like somebody who was in the trenches writing against the military? He's no longer there.
Maybe because he's observing table manners.
Well,
when you are eating, do you talk?
The table manners he's observing, Mr. Kuru, will he observe it and take care of his generation? He is an old man.
It's a rhetoric question that you have asked, but if I have to volunteer an explanation, what we see missing in this country can, as a matter of fact, take some people, their generations, but 10 times.
Yes.
We are in transparency area and accountability. It's on record that at some point we're losing 400,000 barrels of oil per day in this country, stolen. And I did some kind of mental calculation yesterday on air on the morning show, and I said 400,000 barrels at the best price that you are giving it to someone, like give me anything you like, and the person is paying $10 per barrel. That amounts to $1.2 million a month.
You know what I'm saying? Generation.
And so that is one day.
Yes.
One day. And this thing went on for 10 years. For 10 years. So that cartel, do you think that 20 generations of theirs, you know how much it will take you to finish 1 trillion naira? No. If you spend 1 million naira a day, it will take you 2013 years.
Yes,
to finish 1 trillion naira if you spend 1 million naira every day.
Yes. Do you know that it is not the generation that we are talking about here? The people surrounding them, if they are not living well, those that generational wealth is in trouble.
Exactly. That's where I wanted to go to.
It's in serious trouble.
Do they understand?
That's the reason why we are here.
Segun.
That's part of why we are here.
Please, how do we build a nation? You are in transparency and accountability. Please help us. How can we build a nation? Briefly.
John Maxwell. Everything rises and falls on leadership. There's something that Peter Obi said. Do you know when Peter Obi captured the imagination of Nigerians? 2014, the platform.
The platform.
I think it was 2014 edition. When he now started narrating his governance style in Anambra, when he was governor of Anambra State, people were captivated. People could not believe their ears. Wait, is this guy a Nigerian politician? That you followed your convoy to filling station, The irony is that people disparage him now because of that. They say, this one is a petty person. How can he be following? But that's exactly what we need. We need a frugal mind, a mind who by himself is naturally disciplined. And there's something that the guy said that, was so intriguing. When they talked to him about corruption, he said it's very easy. And I agree with him, and that's the answer to your question. Everything rises and falls on leadership. He said, look, if he can show all Nigerians that he is not stealing, that every dime that he has, he made legitimately, and he's not taking one kobo that doesn't belong to him from government coffers, and that he has signaled the people immediately around him, and they can do the same. That is to trickle down.
Absolutely.
And I agree with him. So to build a nation, look, it's very simple. And that's why some of us kind of get a bit despondent and we lose hope sometimes, because it's a bit of a catch-22. Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? The solution is that there must be one person that is going to arise, that will lead by example. But for that person to come out, he must come from among us. And our electoral system will not permit him. Anybody that emerges in Nigeria's political space today has made compromises that may make it very difficult for him to do the very harsh things that must be to fight the interests that need to be fought. So for me, it's a bit of a conundrum, but the answer to your question is leadership. We need somebody to emerge who truly means well, who is visionary, who is courageous, who is bold, and who has no political motivations beyond doing good for the most people that he can. The day that person emerges, Nigeria will explode in a period of 10 years.
I hope that we'll get that. I hope that we'll get to that
productivity
very soon, because Nigerians are gradually losing hope.
It's a hope, right?
People, if you speak to a lot of people outside, people don't see hope beyond the horizon. They say, well, I'm not sure that we'll be able to walk back from.
I'm not sure either, I must confess.
Unfortunately. Now, let's go back to 2027. A coalition of 100 prominent Nigerians, known as the G-100, has urged major opposition figures, including Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Rotimi Amechi, and Rabiu Kwakwanso, to set aside personal ambitions and work towards a single presidential candidate for the 2027 election. In a 7-page open letter, the group argued that a fragmented opposition could enable the APC and President Bola Tinubu to retain power, warning that Nigeria's democratic institutions are being weakened by political divisions, patronage, and excessive concentration of power. The coalition plans to convene a National Council of Opposition Leaders within 2 weeks to negotiate a common political strategy, program, and consensus candidate, and the aim of creating a united and credible alternative to the ruling party. Elvis, is there a possibility this could happen? I want you to go back to the Ibadan Declaration. The opposition figures met sometime in Ibadan.
Yes, in Ibadan, yes.
We are going to put together, a coalition, and we are going to present one opposition candidate. I spoke with Martin Sonovo, who was in Ibadan at that time. He said, well, we are still well and alive. That plan is still well and alive, but Nigerians don't seem to see it. What do you see? Because you have different people talking differently. Atiku Abubakar, this is my last shot. Peter Obi, if I try now and I don't get it, I'm not going to try again. Musa Kwakwanso, well, 2031 is the picture for him. That's the big picture for him, 2031. And Kashim Shettima, is in the ruling party. Rotimi Amechi, I'm not going to deputize anyone, but he's deputizing someone now. I also know that he has his eyes, 2031, 2038, and all of that. Do you see a possibility of an opposition candidate, sole opposition candidate emerging 6 months to the election? Is it possible?
No, not at all. Scott.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Why? Why so?
Yeah, you have already given the background. Do you know what is driving all of them? It is ambition. And I have to be there. It must be me that will be there. It's like a crab lifestyle that if I cannot get to the top, you will not get there. So because of that selfish and greed, we can't get this G-100. If it was possible that we can get one opposition candidate, the APC would have known that we are serious. They know too well now that this is not possible. That's the reason why you see APC, come up with all the razzmatazz and get away with it. And this would have been one of the best things that would have happened to Nigerians if we can actually rally around and say, this is our candidate, the big elephant in the room. Let us join hands together and push them out. But unfortunately, this will not happen. Look at the antecedent of everybody, almost all the people that you made mention of. Atiku Abubakar started this since 1993. I want to be there. Till tomorrow. You can imagine.
This will be his 7th time.
7th time. You can imagine that kind of person now. You are not say, okay, calm down. You are not the person that will go. This is the person who want to go. Even within the ADC, Mr. Koro, were we not saying that?
But let's be fair to Atiku Abubakar. I mean, he can't run for vice presidency again because he's been vice president.
Can't he
Must he run at
be
all?
another
He wants to run.
man?
Is his
Must he run?
Can't
Must he
he be
run?
another
Must he
state
by
run?
man?
force?
That's
Not
the
by
point.
force.
Is it by force? Can't he be another state man?
Must he run?
No, the
Must he
constitution
run?
allows him to run.
Yes, we
but
know.
That's the problem.
It is a
We know.
constitution that allows him to run. And it's the same thing that is putting everybody Nigeria into this mess we are. If we in this crisis, if we're able to galvanize ourselves together and say enough of this, what have been this? So sometimes you don't look at the constitutional pronouncement when you want to achieve an aim. What if we have one opposition candidate? Is he against the constitution? It's not against the
It's
constitution.
not bad. No, people are saying.
You see, we are not serious here.
Exactly.
Atiku Abubakar cannot deputize anyone because he's been vice president.
Must he be there? Can't he be another state person?
Now
and
that's
say,
the big question
I want-
only Atiku Abubakar can answer. Must you be there?
We can be another state man and said, no. In my own time, I want to see Nigeria work. Not just for me alone, for my children and my grandchildren. Yes, I'll be behind you. Let's see 3 or 4 of them coming up to say, I'll be behind you. Even within the ADC, was it not a problem? Why were some people started leaving ADC? Somebody like Obi. Knowing fully well that when ADC matter came up and he said, this party was formed in my house. And you see how Obiora was taken out. Like, they bought the party from the original persons that were in ADC before. And that's what he's playing at. In December 31st, when Obi went to join them, I said, Obi cannot survive this. Obi is like a chicken. I mean, it's like a termite in the midst of chicken. All of them are going to rush him. And at the end of the day, did it not happen? Obi could not survive it. So people with this kind of ambition, that it must be me, greedy ambition,
Okay.
is what we are.
All right.
led us to this.
If 2027 ends up a 3-horse race, what do you think will happen? 3-horse race in the presence of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, P2B. What do you think will play out? The outcomes?
Well, the map, if you ask me, it would have looked like what happened in 2023, yeah? But this time it might just be a little bit different, okay? Given the fact that Obi will still maintain a very high momentum, okay? And then backed with the Kwankwasia movement of Kwankwaso, right? You know, a whole lot will happen. But if Nigerians are to tell themselves the truth across board, because I tell people, I say, look, we may be different in various ways in terms of religion, ethnicity, whatever it is, different interests. But there's one common denominator that should bring everybody together, and that thing is hunger. In my office, so you have Hausas, you have Yoruba, you have everybody, right? When they are hungry, they come to me. I'm of different tribe and ethnicity and whatever it is, okay? But hunger brings us together. I help them and all of that. So if hunger is a common denominator and everybody knows it, and they know who has made them hungry for the last 4 years, I think they should be able to, they don't need anybody to persuade them to say, do this way, rather than what they should know. That's what I'm looking at. The way it is now, this three-legged
Race.
race, it is what it is.
And what is it?
It is what it is. Okay? Obi will pull his own. Atiku will pull some. Bola will pull some. At the end of the day, but I think we should watch INEC.
Okay.
All of these things will not happen and end at the level of ballots and, you know.
Okay.
Okay? We should watch INEC.
We should watch INEC. Now, Segun, sometime in, I think that was late last year when Nasiru El-Rufai fell out with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We said, well, 2027 is going to be a 3-horse race. There's going to be a runoff. And Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not be on that runoff. How do you react to that? That was Nasiru El-Rufai, you know. When the moment he fell out with Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The man has a penchant for speaking grandly, you know, and painting pictures in the air that may not have any, in my opinion, you know, that is not grounded in reality. Okay. Look, the reality is right in front of us. It's numeric. It's very simple. There were 3 major candidates in 2023. If you add Kwakwanso, you can say 4.
Okay.
Looking at the numbers right now, I have to remind myself what these numbers were. Bola Ahmed Tinubu scored 8.7 million votes, according to INEC. We have to work with the INEC numbers.
Okay, 8.9.
Those are the official figures. 8.8 or 8.9. Okay. Atiku got 6.9.
9.
Obi got 6.1. Any calculation that does not involve Atiku and Obi bringing those votes together, whether they were rigged votes or they were actually cast votes. You know, rigging too is a part of the game. It's a part of it.
Absolutely.
You have to rig and win your rigging. If you want to vote, you must win your vote. So whether they rigged or not,
officialize it.
yes. So whether they rigged or not, the only combination that can beat Bola Ahmed Tinubu today is Atiku and Obi
Put together.
Yes.
Okay.
Kwakwa and So added to either one of them is not up to what they got, what APC got last time.
Okay, now
So
looking at the numbers, at the numbers like this, do you think that, let's assume and say that, well, the 2023 election was free, fair, credible. And so we work with those numbers, 8.9, 6.9, 6.1, and 1.1.
1.4.
1.4. Now, those numbers that we had in 2023, are they still intact for each and every one of them? The president's 8.9 million votes.
Good
Are they
question.
still intact
Good
for
question.
him,
Good question.
given the circumstances?
Absolutely. So what you have, obviously, you know, the only thing that is constant in life is change. And a lot has changed in that time in both directions for all parties. They have lost people and they have gained people. So, but and then there's also the question of strategy.
Okay.
How are you going to go about your electioneering process this time? Have you learned from the mistakes that you made last time? For example, the Obi camp is determined. They believe that they won. Okay. But there's a reason they couldn't establish it in court, and the reason they couldn't bring that victory to reality. So those reasons, have they addressed it? If they have, then there's a real possibility that, you know, the results can favor even an Obi standing on his own. Okay. You know, but we don't know those things, and the only thing we can work with are the numbers, and then try to extrapolate based on the realities that we permutate based on the realities that we see around us. And those realities, I'm telling you, now, this is not to say that people should not go and cast their votes. Okay. This is very crucial. So it's also very important that we're careful not to paint a narrative that it's a fait accompli. And there's nothing anybody can do, APC will win. Because that's what APC is actually pushing. That's the image they're trying to create. They have captured 32 states governors. You know,
captured the National Assembly.
INEC, they've captured the National Assembly, they've captured the judiciary, you know, they've captured the security services and all of that, right? So they want to create a cloud of hopelessness for people to believe that there's nothing we can do. They will win, so they won't go out and vote. So it's important for those of us that have platforms like this to say, it's a lie, go out and vote. We are just extrapolating, it's all theoretical. The practical realities will be determined by the major actors and Nigerians ourselves. Go out there, vote for. If you are angry that your life has changed for the worse since 2023,
that should spur you to vote.
Go and vote. Go and make your vote to change that situation and change your life. All right, and you never can tell. Who knows? What if the elections are free and fair and it's a landslide victory for Atiku or for Obi?
I had a guest on my show, and when we talked about 2027, you know what he told me? He said 2027 is going to be magical. So magic we expect in 2027.
It's okay.
Well, we are costing home now. So let's get into our last topic of discussion. The ICPC has submitted an interim report to President Bola Tinubu on its investigation into the alleged disputed Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council. Sometimes they call it investment, sometimes they call it intervention. And so, well, recommending the prosecution of its self-proclaimed Director General, Dr. Matthew Adeyemi, the commission found that, that's ICPC, found that Adeyemi was never appointed by the government and that documents used to establish the agency, including an appointment letter and gazette, were allegedly forged. The ICPC also uncovered 2 additional fictitious agencies allegedly created by Adeyemi and found that he unlawfully used the identity and facilities of the former Presidential Economic Advisory Council. Although no federal government funds were found to have been paid to the fake agencies, according to the commission recommended sanctions for public officials whose negligence enabled the scheme and said investigations are continuing to identify other collaborators. Segun, let me stay with you. Now, this is in your area, accountability and transparency, investigations. Now, the president at some point said, ICPC, 30 days, do a thorough investigation and come up with recommendations. On the last day of that 30th day, they came up with this report, which they submitted to the presidency with fun and fanfare and all of that. And the highlight of all of this is that, well, in all that we examined, the presidency, federal government has no blame. But they turned around to say that there were gaps in the processes. And so it's difficult for Nigerians to reconcile that contradiction. How do you see that? Being your area, I mean, that's your area, transparency and accountability.
I mean, look, when you want to examine this, you start from the beginning. The day that the president gave the marching orders, which would not have been necessary in the first place. Why does the president have to give marching orders to law enforcement agencies to do their work? There is a controversy already that there is a supposedly, purportedly a phantom agency. ICPC, EFCC is all in your jurisdiction. Work together and start investigation and bring people to book. Invite them on your own. Invite Gbajabi Amila. Invite the guy himself, and all the government functionaries that were involved. But that didn't happen. The first thing that happened was that the president gave a marching order and then gave a vote of confidence in the primary character, Femi Gbajabi Amila. In that speech where he was saying ICPC should go and investigate, he said, I have full confidence in my chief of staff. From that moment, the entire thing was a charade and a farce. You can't give a vote of confidence when you're asking people to go and investigate. You must be seen, very importantly, even more than the reality and substance, you must be seen to be interested in the truth and in the substance of the matter. That's one. Now, two, the ICPC have come out. How can you investigate a matter this grand in 30 days? I mean, I don't understand it. So the speed with which the report has come out in itself raises questions about the credibility of that report. That's number two. Number three, there are processes by the admission of the ICPC itself that must be questioned. Have they asked those questions extensively? And how can they give a exoneration to the chief of staff, the head of service? How? The head of service has admitted during a hearing at the National Assembly that, yes, there were lapses. Let me tell you one of the lapses. This man is now being purported to have presented forged appointment letters in order for his agency to have received the office space, to have received allocation of staff,
opened accounts.
And he opened accounts at the CBN. Are we joking? Look, what this tells me is that I can just go somewhere, print a letter, put letterhead and all that, and walk into the Federal Secretariat, and I will get an office allocated to me. Do these people think we're stupid? Look, as far as I know, you as an appointee of government, you are not the one that will go and present yourself to any government agency that you need in the implementation and deployment of your appointment by yourself. A communication, a memo must come from either the secretary to the government of the federation, to the chief of staff, or the head of service. A memo must come to the various agencies that are required to implement that appointment. You can't be the one going, oh, I have been appointed. So even in private sector, when you employ people, are you the one that will go and present your employment letter to the person that you were deployed to? If I'm employed in a bank today and I'm deployed to a branch in Calabar, am I the one that will suddenly show up with my appointment letter? HR would have sent a memo to Calabar. This person has been deployed to you, expect him on so and so date. So the gaps and the lapses in this story, they are so outlandish and ridiculous that you really need to begin to say, these people, they narrate us. They really, really don't think much of us. For them to think that they can just cover this up. This is, my rounding up, is a grand cover-up, but it's not being very smartly done at all.
Not being very smartly done at all. Oh, all right, Elvis, the conversation out there is that within the 30-day period that ICPC conducted this investigation, that they never had a word with Adeyemi. So how come?
One-sided. If there was even any investigation, Koro, because before the investigation even started at all, they've already made their judgment. Concluded. They said, fake. What were you going to investigate any longer? They came up with a conclusion that the agency is fake and that Prince Adeyemi forged all the documents. So why did you call for investigation? They already did their investigation before they just, like Jamboree, tell ICPC, go and investigate it. They are not talking to foolish people. Nigerians already knew too well that the government had made their own pronouncement. And that is exactly what the ICPC put together and submitted. If you want to do investigation, you have to call the Arrowhead, that is Okoro, the Adeyemi that is very, very much involved. That, okay, let's hear from you. How did you now suddenly become a spirit that all the forged documents you allege you forged say true? CBN, Federal Road Safety Commission, Head of Service, even the National Assembly and all. How did you become spirit? Even from there, the government will even have to learn from him. If you can do this, then you are. I mean, you are a genius. Genius. So the government will learn. So I have always been saying that you gave it a better definition. If really we were sincere, we would have called it a disputed agency, so that we can leave that vague, so that everybody can now come up and investigate and let Nigeria know that, okay, even if we get to court, the court is supposed to make the pronouncement and say this agency is fake, this man forged this paper. But from nowhere at the beginning, ICPC, even before ICPC, Bayo Nanuga has already gone to press and said this man is a fake agency and he forged the paper. So we always see shenanigans.
Okay, from the report the ICPC sent out, now they said that no funds were made available to the agency, and people had been working there for the past how many years? They had 300 staff, people seconded from the Ministry of External Affairs, from the Ministry of Finance, and all of that. They had office space. And we, at some point, we got to hear that, well, they were owed 6 months' salaries. But at some point, they were also paid. So how come that this agency never received any money? Especially as we hear that it was the sharing of the money, the 48%, of the 1.3 billion naira that cost the whole brouhaha. So how much of reliance should we have on the ICPC report? Advisedly, because it's a government agency that sent out that report.
Okay, so it's unfortunate that Adeyemi suffered what I will call plausible deniability. That he came through, backed up by senior government officials. That's the truth. Well, we're not fools here. This is Abuja we're talking. This is Aso Rock. This is presidency we're talking here. This guy could not, like he said, he couldn't be, even if you're a spirit, they will catch you at some point. How is it possible? They want him to take a fall, but let them do it honorably, right? You said ICPC made an investigation. Fine. The president ordered them to do investigation within 30 days. Like Segun said, 30 days is not enough. But they hurriedly, and again, if you look at these whole agencies, you see that between ICPC and EFCC, ICPC is like a baby where EFCC is. Yes. So ICPC, I guess, the guy that is in charge now, just want to do something to be on the news, to make people believe that ICC can do a noble stuff. No, there's nothing.
Unfortunately.
So Adeyemi is, you can see where they docked him. Nobody has interviewed him. He hasn't been able to have the opportunity to speak.
As you round off and give us your concluding thoughts in 30 seconds, the House of Representatives said they want to interrogate him in secrecy. And he says no. Why? Does it look like?
It's laughable. The things we do here. That's why I said this country, I don't know, we can't move forward. I'm saying it openly. We can't move forward with this kind of behavioral pattern, with the way we practice this democracy. We can't move anywhere.
All right, then. Thank you very much.
We can't.
Elvis, in 30 seconds, your concluding thoughts.
I sympathize with Adeyemi because his business partners disappointed him. They betrayed him. Business partners betrayed him. And that's why he's now the scapegoat. That's all.
All right, Segun, 30 seconds.
Well, generally speaking, I want to encourage Nigerians to go out and make their voices heard, so that we don't see shenanigans like this. The reason we have these types of insults thrown at us is an insult. This story, this ICPC reporter, is an insult to Nigerian sensibilities. The reason that is happening is that Nigerians are not taking their destiny into their own hands. So go out, vote, be ready to die for that vote. We have to say it. Be ready to die there. If you are not ready to give your life.
If Nigerians can conquer fear,
Nigeria,
like
yes,
you said, fear
yes,
is
that
our greatest
fear,
problem.
You have to defeat that fear. Go out there, protect that vote. If area boy come, you to fight them back. Let's aura for aura.
Exactly.
How do the young people say it now? Aura for aura. Let's make sure that nobody can scare us.
Let's make sure that nobody can scare us. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Now, Elvis, sympathies goes to Adeyemi. My sympathies go to Nigerians because we have a lot in our hands. I tell you, we have a lot in our hands. Well, unfortunately, this would be a good place to end this conversation. We couldn't talk about the Oshu elections and everything surrounding the Oshu elections. That will be one of our major topics of discussion next Saturday as the election gets underway. I must say a very big thank you to you, our viewer at home, for being part of the program. Like I said, it's interactional, it's conversational, and all of that is interactive. Well, I've been speaking with three very sound analysts and gentlemen here. From my left, Segun Sopitan, Chairman Accountability at Candour Transparency International, who appeared here in the capacity of a public affairs analyst. Thank you very much, Segun.
Thank you.
Next to him, Elvis Elimihele, journalist as well as political affairs analyst. Thank you very much, Elvis. And up next, the last but not the least, Ekene Obi, who appeared here in the capacity of a public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, I must say a very big thank you to you, and I hope that we can do this some other time. Thank you very much. And from me, Chukwuma, and on behalf of the back end, we'll see you again, same time, Saturday next week. That will be the 15th day of August 2026. Osun State elections will be underway. We are going to hold conversations, discussions about the Osun State elections and a lot of other trending political stories. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again on Monday on Voice of the People Television on the morning show. Bye from me, Chukwuma, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.